Morning, everyone. It is episode 32 of our free coffee morning. I hope everyone is keeping well. It's been a kind of a dull enough day today, but there's a bit of blue sky out there in Drogheda here in County Louth. I hope everyone has been keeping well. I've got my Jurgen Klopp Cup for Liverpool's match tonight against Napoli in the Champions League. So fingers get a decent result tonight and keep us all happy. It's been a busy kind of time for Help Me to Parent over the last probably month or so. We've got a lot more talks going, a lot more programs running, a lot more requests for giving presentations and stuff like that around the country, which is fantastic. It's great to see that we're kind of building a reputation of, not talking complete and utter rubbish all the time. That we do have a little bit of quality to talk about and some good information to give across. So today is going to be nice and snippy, although I feel like I'm saying that quite a bit recently with these. So maybe one of these days you're going to be hit by a nice kind of hour-long bore fest. So maybe we'll do something around a nice long one for Christmas maybe, and how to manage your children's and your own expectations around Christmas and what it's going to be like. So we have this week the old child question last week from the little 9-year-old lady has sparked a revolution in children's questions, which is fantastic. So what I'm actually finding is that there are tons of questions coming in from kids. Keep them coming. In fact, maybe that would be our long one. Maybe we'll do a special of just kids questions, hour long, maybe 2 hours long. Who knows what our kids' attention spans like. Anyway, yeah. So we're obviously live on Facebook. We are going to be on our Help Me to Parent podcast. So please do download the podcast and give us the feedback. Also, we're going to be up on our YouTube channel, Help Me to Parent, and on the Lemur app. We have exciting things coming up on the Lemur app soon. It's a free app. It's a great social audio app. I highly recommend it. It's good fun because we can interact with people using our voice and all that kind of stuff. It's really it's on the cusp of just kind of taking off and exploding. Anyway, question one, right? Myself and my husband are disagreeing a lot over where to send our son to school. He's due to start primary school next September, and I really want to send him to a school with a strong history of successful students, while my husband wants to send him to the local school with his friends. Have you any advice on how we can resolve this issue? And it's funny, there's probably a lot of people watching and listening who will kind of go, there's no issue there, that's something that's easily resolved. But it's amazing sometimes how it's the little frustrations that really start to wind up and increase the temperature in the house, where what seems like something that should be very easily sorted out can become quite a sticking point for couples. And schools is actually one of those ones that it happens quite a bit, because we just assume that we'll all be on the same page when it comes to where we want our child to go. But this is a very typical question where one parent wants their child to go to a good school or what's seen as a good school, where students come out, get good jobs, are successful, and then others want their kids to just enjoy school. And it's about trying to get that balance. And I suppose ultimately, for any parent, it would be fantastic if your child could get that balance in the school, where it is a good school, where they do get good results, but at the same time your child comes out of school kind of thinking, I had a really good time in school. What I will say to you is, it is impossible. It is impossible for you to know what's going to work. Okay, and that's one of the biggest challenges for any parent, is that when it comes to choosing which school, we all just make a choice based on what we think would be the best. Whether it turns out that way or not, there's nothing we can do about it. We don't know. So we might decide to send our children to a fee-paying school that costs €10,000 a term, and assume that they're going to get on well because we're paying €10,000. But that absolutely means nothing. Whereas we could send our child to the local school, 1,600 students, and our children could love it. We just don't know. So All we're doing is making a choice in the moment and the best decision that we can at any given time. So that can be a difficult one for parents to kind of come together on and find a way of deciding which way to go. I suppose for some people things have changed. So for many parents it would have been, I want my child to be successful and have a good job and have the best opportunity to go to college and to, be happy. But not it's not always the case that a successful, financially successful job will bring happiness. Sometimes it can bring unknown amounts of stress that ultimately is not good for you. And thankfully, there has been a move away from, no, sorry, not even a move away. There's been a re-evaluation of academia. And it's only in the last few years that, well, certainly I'm really seeing it with the schools that I work with, where it's no longer all about exams, 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 exams. A lot of it is around the practical implications of how you can do things on a practical basis. I would love to see a higher shift into more emphasis on sports and being healthy, and healthy lifestyles and mental health. Like, it amazes me that we know so much more about how the mind works and how to keep a positive mind frame, and yet that's not been taught to kids from day one. And to me, and to a lot of people I speak to, your child's mental health is way more important than any job that they're going to do. Now, for some people, they may say, well, actually, no, the job is the most important thing. And that might be for you, but it may not be that way for your child. And again, none of us know about the choices that we make, whether or not that's actually going to be the case. So I suppose what I'd say to you is, it is about looking to try and get that balance. Because you may send your child to a school that has a good history in getting good results, but your child might not get those good results. Your child might really struggle with the pressure that puts on them. And we as parents have hopes and dreams for our kids that may not match up to what our kids actually want. So while we want our kids to maybe be doctors or lawyers or whatever it might be, maybe they just want to be teachers. Maybe they want to just go and work in a local pub. And the great thing is that we're slowly starting to realise that you don't have to do a job for life. Like, who the hell actually knows? There are very few people who actually know what they want to do with the rest of their life at 17, 18 when they're making the choice of going to college. And I know so many people who change their careers as they get older, which is great. Instead of staying in a job that you're stuck in, and you thought at 17, was this something I want to do, and then you progress on, and all of a sudden it's, yeah, actually I don't really like this job anymore, but I have to stay in it because that's what I studied. Thankfully, we can change now. We can explore different ways of being, and there's never been a better time to learn, because there's so much information out there and so many different ways that we can actually get access to information. So what I'd say to you is, maybe settle yourself with the fact that actually my child doesn't have to go to the best school for results. Or ask yourself the question, what is it about it? What's the most important thing to you? Is it your child's happiness, or is it that they get a good job? And it doesn't matter. I'm not casting any aspersions either way, but it's a question for you. Going to the same school as your friends, is really appealing at that age, because it's meant to be, being a child is meant to be fun. Now, we do need to learn structure, and that's what school will do, but it's important that it is fun. So do we want to send our kids to a school where they're going to have no friends there, they're not going to know anybody there, because they're going to do well? And people will say, well, they're going to make new friends, and absolutely they will, but maybe it's not the right decision. But what I'd say is, just trust that you're making the best decision right now. Now, you're probably giving you no answers there, but really ask yourself those questions and sit down and decide between you, What are the things that are most important when it comes to our child's education? Is it that they get the highest marks in the class? Or is it that they come out of school and go, I really enjoyed that. Now what am I going to do? Like anybody. And it's very easy for us to sit back and say, well, I want them to do this and I want them to do that. And then you throw in on top of that the could do better. That I think nearly every child gets or has always gotten is, if your child just worked a little bit harder, they could do better. They're not reaching their potential. How do they know? How do how do they actually know what your child's potential? I've worked with people who, students who are under so much stress because they are genuinely working as hard as they can, and then they get from the school could work harder, could do better, and then the parents get on top of that and say you need to work harder, and you have a child who's completely chewed up inside because they cannot work any harder. They literally cannot work any harder. And it's about balance. And what we teach our kids then is that in order to be successful, you have to put yourself under ridiculous amounts of pressure and stress that doesn't need to be there. Now, some people might say, well, that's work ethic. No, it's not. You can work hard without stressing yourself to the gills where you feel that you have to work every minute of the day. You don't have to do that. And what is success? If you have a child who turns around and becomes a multi-billionaire, is that success? What if they hate their life? What if they don't enjoy 1 minute of it? You might have someone who's earning €5, €10 an hour and they're absolutely happy with where they are at in that moment. If that changes, they are their own person. It's up to them to work towards it. So sit down together, write down a list of what are the things that are important to you and accept how both of you feel about it. And from there, start to build a picture of, okay, well, what is the focus here? And make the choice. And if it doesn't work out, you change it. Change the schools. Go with the other option. But the important thing is that there's no I told you so if it doesn't work out. So if one of you picks one way and the other one is a bit apprehensive and you're saying, no, but just go with me on this. I don't think it's going to work. Trust me on this, please. I just want to give this a go. Okay. And then it doesn't work out and it's like, I told you it wouldn't work out. That's not what this is about. You're making the best decision at the time with the knowledge that you have. So I hope that's of some help. And do come back to me if you need to. Okay, last one for today. Why do parents make you have showers? That comes in from a 10-year-old who's wondering about the necessity of having a wash. It's an interesting question. It's one that any parent, I'm sure, sitting out there will say, why do I have to have an argument about you washing yourself? So the reason your parents make you have showers is because you will be stinky, which will mean that it will be unpleasant to be around you, which will mean that maybe your friends won't want to play with you after 2 weeks of not showering, which means that your parents may not want to have you in the house and they set you up a little kennel out the back for you to sleep in because it's just too smelly, and maybe the dog is actually kicking you out of the kennel as well and saying, it's not happening, you need a wash. But also so that you remain hygienic, that you can be as fresh and alert as you possibly can, and to wash all those bugs that crawl all over you every day that you don't see. That's why. Is it worth it? Is it worth the argument? I think maybe you need to choose to have a shower every morning, please. Right, 15 minutes, done and dusted, short and sharp. Guys, have a great week. I will see you next week. Take care of yourselves. Until next time, goodbye.